So this is my listing for my 1972 Hillman Imp project. I bought this car in 2011 at the Imp National from Hillman, and I knew then that it had some filler in it, but it was on the road and it was running, and it was something I could use, and it did me a good couple of years. And then in July 2013, just before the 50th National, the rust in the rear meant that it failed the MOT, and as you can see, it needs all the usual Imp bits. So it needs arches, inner and outer, front and rear, both sills, rear sections of the floor, and then the rear hatch needs rebuilding, and obviously it needs a complete respray. So I kept this as a complete running car until, even whilst it was off the road, it was started regularly until 2017, when I thought I was in a position where I was living here where the car's currently stored, which I'm losing, hence the reason I'm going to have to sell. I was living down here and therefore was hoping to have the time to work on it and get it done. And I started to investigate the previous repairs and realised that effectively people had done, they'd thrown good metal after bad, you know, they'd patched over the top and not dealt with the underlying rust. So that's when I realised that it was a more serious restoration that was going to be required, and so started stripping it down and cleaning off the undersill and all of that. So as you can see inside, the floor's been de-rusted and high zinc build primer, and then I had got the bits ready to do the work. So you know, we've got 2 express steel panel sills there, 2 express steel panels rear quarters, front outer arches, and then we've got the front inner arches and one of the rear inner arches from Radford Panels. Unfortunately, when I bought these, they didn't have the other side in stock and ready, so I figured I'd come to that and try and get it when they came back in stock. And then we've got the 2 club floor sides, so I was intending to use these to effectively repair the outer edge of the floor at this rear corner, where we've got these sort of louvered bits here. Effectively take a rear section and put that into the rear of the floor was the intent. Not change the rest of the floor, because that's actually perfectly solid and there's no need to. But unfortunately, I haven't been living near where the car is. I've been working away, and haven't been able to get into a position where I could work on it regularly and make some progress. And so with the loss of the storage here, it's now time for this car as a project to go to a new home. Obviously, with all the bits I have for it. So some of the bits that were in the car originally, like some of the interior parts, they'd suffered anyway whilst the car was on the road, in terms of a bit of water leakage around the rear hatch, which is how I believe the rear floor has rusted out, and the original seats and bits. So I've got some other seats here, got various bits that I took off the car and stored. We've got the original rear seats and petrol tank, original rear transom, bumpers, door bins, you know, mat pockets, and the rear engine lid. And then the engine's been tucked away, stored under a lean-to and covered. So just down here we have the engine, which at the point I took the car apart in 2017 was still running absolutely fine. And in fact, you could take a relatively low battery that sat not being run for a while and you could crank it and with some choke and some fresh fuel, and it would just start and run, and all of the gears worked. So the gearbox is also down over there. So it was very much still a driving Imp at the point I stripped it down. Obviously some of the fasteners were corroded when taking it apart, and it's going to need replacement bits, but the majority of it is there for enabling, you know, working out how everything goes back together. Obviously there's a wealth of information on the club. The car itself actually has quite an interesting history. So the engine that's down there ran very well, and is actually a factory Chrysler replacement engine. So early on in this car's life, it had a problem where they just replaced the engine. So it's like the style of the block and that doesn't match the year, really interestingly, and I've got all the receipts, so I have a lot of history for the car where you can see that that was done, and the mileage that was done at, and when it was replaced. On the clock there's 92,000 miles, which I believe is genuine. And I believe that's across both engines effectively, so I don't believe they changed out the speedo when they changed the engine. So yeah, it was also used in a TV series. So there was a short TV series called White Teeth, I believe it was, where this car in its original form, I think it was shot probably in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere around there, where this car was used for the opening scene of the series. And I have in with the files and the history that I have that goes with this car, I have a VHS of that. Other things that the car's had done whilst it was on the road, I changed out the studs on the hub so that I could fit period correct Revolution alloy wheels. So these Revolutions are of the right era. They're not overly wide. They are, I'd have to double check, but they're the odd width that they don't do anymore. And actually I was very lucky that my stepfather, who is the one that got me into imps, he had them in stock in the loft. So that's when they were fitted, and they've got stainless steel wheel nuts all the way around that are lovely. Other than that, it had been changed to electronic ignition with a modded kit within the distributor at some point, but mostly original and complete.